4-1 for the Los Angeles Rams, San Francisco 49ers improving to 4-1 RC after 26-23 victory on Thursday night. So you hear Sean McVay there. Accountability, he said it was on him. He didn't even give thought to kicking the field goal there.
Yeah.
Do you agree with the fourth down decision to run it there?
Yeah, I agree with whatever Sean McVay does. Sean McVay's a made man to me, and this is the team that was averaging 4.6 yards a carry. This is the team that is up by a touchdown early on or late in the fourth quarter if Kyron Williams doesn't allow Alfred Williams to punch the football out. And the way that they got to this play call was trying to see when we put 11 personnel on the field, that's one running back, one tight end, 3 wide receivers, how are the San Francisco 49ers going to match us? Or are they going to bring out an extra DB, which they did? You bring out Chase Lucas to play the nickel position. You got one of the best blocking wide receivers in all of football in Puka Nacua. You bring in Jordan Winnington, who is an absolute beast and a stud and a physical player. And sometimes you got to go win. Sometimes your men have to move the other men on the opposite side of the football. And the Los Angeles Rams didn't do that. Sean McVay didn't make Blake Corum drop a pitch. He didn't make Kyron Williams fumble the ball headed into the end zone. He didn't allow a punt or a field goal to be blocked again after seeing that same thing happen against the Philadelphia Eagles. That's on Chase Blackburn, right? That's on the interior of the field goal team. And so to me, this is not a bad call. This is a call you make. This is a call you make because you've studied, because you've watched Kyron Williams run the football, and your players got to go out there and make a play.
Cam, riddle me this, because Matthew Stafford was cooking in the fourth quarter, and especially in that overtime period when he's throwing the ball to Tutu Atwell, to everybody at that point. Everything was good. I was cool with it if they wanted to throw it there, but are you okay with the fourth down decision as is?
The fourth down decision going forward, I am fine with it. Sean McVay knows that you go into each and every game to win. I'm good with the decision to go for it. I'm not good with the decision to give it to 5'9", 202 pounds, yes, a Pro Bowler, but at the same time, go to the hot hand. What about that? Hey, what about one of the most talented quarterbacks in the game today in Matthew Stafford? Hey, what about your all-pro receiver in Devontae Adams? Hey, how about one of the league's MVP candidates leading into this game in Puka Nacua? I mean, what about that? I mean, at this particular point, Sean McVay knows what the standard is for him as a head coach. He knows he made a terrible call in that type of situation. But there was a coach that once told me this: a superstar is only a superstar when the game is required for the superstar to be a superstar. You have
a lot of superstars.
Puka Nacua. It's a lot of superstars there. And you didn't give one of your superstars an opportunity to make a play. No disrespect to Kyron, you know what I'm saying? But I'm saying if I'm in that situation again, I'm giving it to Matthew Stafford. Put the ball in his hands. Put the ball into Devontae Adams' hands. Put the ball into Puka Nacua's hands, and then we go from there. I'm looking at a situation, I'm looking at film where Puka Nacua gets stalemated at the line of scrimmage, and he's not a blocker. I understand the philosophy and the schematics that, you know, the Los Angeles Rams have and what they've had for years. They do incorporate their wide receivers in the run game with blocks and certain different tactics. But in that situation, 4th and 1 with the game on the line, no, we got to come up with that. And on top of that, Court, on top of that, RC, you had a timeout prior to that play, and that's what you come up with? Oh, come on now.
See, that's the thing, though. We've gotten into this world where creativity has to reign supreme. And part of Puka Nacua's greatness is his blocking. He's the best blocking wide receiver in football that's actually a really good wide receiver. Everybody else that you bring into the game that blocks like Puka Nacua don't never catch no balls. They don't ever catch any passes. The reason that he's so difficult to cover and you can move him around and have him insert into the line of scrimmage and get out into the pass route is because he really do that. Puka Nacua really digs out linebackers. Puka Nacua digs out strong safeties. And so I don't have a problem with Puka Nacua being there. Now, if you want to say that Kyron Williams, who just got a contract extension, who's had 1,100 yards in the last 2 seasons, isn't good enough to get the ball because the other people are better, then I have to acquiesce to the superstar in you, Cam. But when you've watched the film, when you're averaging over 4.5 yards a carry, when you just saw the fact that Kyron Williams should have walked into the end zone for a touchdown, You are confident in that play, and that's what I feel Sean McVay leaned on.
Well, and that's where I wanted to go with it, because he fumbles at the goal line. Kyron Williams has a fumbling problem. Let's call it what it is. Since 2023, 7 lost fumbles. That's the most in the NFL at the running back position. You expect him to not have what you're seeing on the screen happen. You're expecting he can pick up 1 yard in that situation. If it's 4th and 1, the other option, you go under center with Matthew Stafford. Is that a thought that crossed Sean McVay's mind? You brought up his creativity, RC. He's supposed to be the most creative play caller out there. And I know he took accountability, Cam. I'm cool with that. But the other options we're talking about here, the other superstars, the margin of error for this Rams team. We saw what happened in that Eagles game. It comes down to 2 blocked field goals. We saw some special teams things happen last night as well that cost them, the missed extra point. How do you view this Rams team today, Cam, knowing what this game could have been very easily had they been able to do the small things, like pick up a yard?
You're right. I'm with you, Court. So peep this. I'm going to give you 3 situations that will back my merit. Special teams issues, ball security issues, coaching call issues. 2 of the first 3 options that I gave you, if they just are average just with doing that, we're saying that the Los Angeles Rams are an undefeated team going into week 6. And it can very well be that type of situation. And when I'm looking around the NFL, and RC, you know this better than anybody, that I have the opportunity to talk alongside with on a week-to-week basis. When you have opportunities to win, you have to win, especially early on in the season. When you find ways to say, hey, this is our time to put the game away, this is our time to win, in any type of demographic, inside the 5, a late game of field goals, and then you have Sean McVay, which we know that this is not a normalcy for him to make these type of mistakes or blunders, so to speak. But if the special teams can get it right, if we can protect the football and just do what you're supposed to do, in that, we're undefeated. And you go into a situation where you have what we call a quote unquote mini bye, and you can still get healthy.
The margin of error is so thin. That was the one rush they had all of last night, the Los Angeles Rams, that did not gain a yard. But let's take a look at the other side of this matchup, because 49ers are 4-1. Mac Jones improved to 3-0 this season, filling in for Brock Purdy. He's led the 49ers to similar success on offense, even scoring more points than Purdy has in his starts. Here's what Jones had to say post-game about his role on the team.
Do you feel like the starting job, you're the starter now, and that's just the way you have to view it?
I think, they brought me here to play as a backup, and that's my job. And Brock's the starter of this team, and right now he's dealing with something. And for him to go out there last week and play when he probably wasn't at full health, like he cares about this team. So I'm just trying to get some wins for him so it helps us down the line. And at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. Like, I've been in his position, I've been a starter, and you want your backup to go in there and win, because at the end of the season, that could be the hit or miss between a playoff or not.
Okay, before we get to any football, I got 2 fashion icons with me here on First Take. What do we think of the half red, half black suit?
Oh, I wore that in 22.
Okay, so you set the tone.
Yeah.
Okay.
In 22, I wore that. Like, I got one of those.
Cam, do you have one in your closet?
So, no.
No, I do not. Like, one of the very few things, but for RC to hit him with it, yeah, I've been on that. That was a trend that we, that was, back in the day, It's subtle flex though.
Okay, I love it. And by the way, I gotta give RC a shout out here. Our parlay, our cover 3 hit yesterday. You had your part of it was
McCaffrey 60+ yards,
8 catches, 82 yards, a touchdown. So everything hit yesterday, which is why you should listen to us to earn you some money. But Cam, we got to drill down here. Is there a quarterback controversy brewing in San Francisco? You know the numbers now with Brock Purdy versus Mac Jones. What kind of problem, if you want to call it that, does Kyle Shanahan have on his hands now?
He has a good problem. And what's funny is history seems to repeat itself. The same way you got the spot is almost the same way you're going to get put out the spot. But I will say this about Mac Jones. Mac Jones is a starter in this NFL that we know. And he would very well still be a starter given the circumstances of his performances in New England if they wasn't so up and down. Do I think Brock Purdy's position as a starter is in jeopardy? Absolutely not. Because one thing that we have seen from Mac Jones is that he will have a game just like this where he throws for 300 plus, 2 touchdowns, protecting the football, no INTs, and then all of a sudden the wheel comes off the wagon and it's like, what type of Mac was that? Like, what are we thinking? So for him, the question is, how long can I keep this style of play up? And if he does, then that's when we do consider it. But for Brock Purdy to be in this situation, I do not think that, John Lynch and, the coaching staff, Shanahan, is looking at a situation where is looking at a situation where we're considering benching our starting quarterback for Mac Jones.
No, absolutely not. You ain't considering benching him, but you considering telling him take as long as the hell you need in order to be healthy.
Yeah.
Because remember, if we go back to the Trey Lance draft, there was so much conversation that they had moved up to number 3 to get Mac Jones. Now, I'm going to tell you, at that time, I was like, if you move up to number 3 to draft Mac Jones, you're out of your stinking mind. But we all knew that that was the best place for him. We knew that that could be a fit for him because it's a fit for every quarterback. And Mac Jones is actually a more talented passer of the ball than Brock Purdy. I'm not saying he's a better player. What Brock Purdy has done there, bringing that team to a Super Bowl, getting the NFC championships 2 years, the way that he has executed in that offense has been above and beyond what we've seen anybody else do, even with Jimmy G and his success. But what we watched Mac Jones do last week in a short week is exactly what you're looking for from a big-time backup. And Cam is right. This dude's a starter. He was a Pro Bowler early on in his career at the Pats. Jacksonville last year, he played 8 games down the stretch. That's when Brian Thomas Jr. was actually his best. And so if I'm Kyle Shanahan, if I'm John Lynch, even with these 10 days, I'm walking up to Brock Purdy in the locker room, in the training room, and saying, hey, look, if you ain't perfect, we ain't tripping. Mm-hmm. If you need time, it's all good. Because not only did Mac Jones perform at a high level last night, Kendrick Bourne was his number 1 receiver. Kendrick Bourne had 2 or 3 drops the week before against Jacksonville, and he went to him time and time and time again. No Ricky Pearsall, no Juwan Jennings, no George Kittle. And you still find a way to perform at that height against that front and that defense. You ain't got a, well, you know what? You might have a problem. And like Cam said, it's a good problem. Mm-hmm. It's good trouble.
33 of 49, 342 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interception, 100.9 passer rating. Pretty good for Mac Jones. And by the way, you saw that knee brace underneath his uniform. He was battling through his own banged-up knee yesterday.
His knee brace and whole uniform game is stank. The entire thing is not.
No way.
It is stank. My dog was out there balling. My boy was cramping up. He on the sideline eating bananas. They massaging cramps out of his arm. Listen, he was dehydrated as dehydrated gets. But that's another thing. That's a level of toughness you need from a QB.
Yeah, me knowing Mac, right, and for everybody who has not understood who I am and what my resume indicates, I was no longer needed in New England because of Mac Jones. And when I see Mac Jones and how he has transformed his game, I always knew personally, seeing firsthand, that Mac Jones is extremely talented and does have, a very unique skill set in throwing the football. I think the thing that was always in question about Mac Jones is this the real Mac Jones? Is he a robot? Is he just going by the tunes of just being a puppet, with those type of things? And those are strong words. When you start to have conversations in different meeting rooms and you start to see like, bro, you a dope dude, dog. Like, you pretty cool. Show that to your team. Don't show the super serious person. So when I'm seeing even the highlights yesterday, he's having fun. You see him, putting on a celebration after the dude I want to see that. Mac Jones is a person that has, quote unquote, been institutionalized because these were his coaches. Nick Saban, no nonsense. Bill Belichick, no nonsense. So for him, he's like, okay, I don't have to be the principal, but I almost got to be the counselor. And when you're talking about in this NFL, You have to thrive off authenticity. And when I see what I saw from Mac Jones and what I'm seeing from Mac Jones, that confidence is what's going to keep him in that specific position of, is he a starter? Does he have the capabilities of doing these type of things? And that's what you love to see.
I don't know. He seemed like he was pretty loose last night wearing that suit game. You don't wear that if you have a backup mindset.